Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The air inside Mayor Laura Collins' office felt heavier than usual, thick with secrets and fear she could no longer outrun. She stood by the window overlooking Port Charles, her reflection staring back at her like an accusation. For decades, Laura had fought corruption. She had battled crime lords, political manipulation and family betrayals, but never, not once, had she felt this helpless. Because this time the enemy wasn't visible. This time it was Jenz Sidwell. And he owned her. The memory replayed like a nightmare she couldn't escape. The trunk, the cold, lifeless body of Professor Henry Hank Dalton, the panic, the mistake, and the photographs. Those photos were now the leash around her neck. Sidwell's voice still echoed from their last meeting, smooth and venomous. "You will do what I say, Madam Mayor, or Port Charles learns exactly what kind of secrets you're hiding." Laura's hands trembled at the thought. She had spent her entire life protecting this city, protecting her family, protecting her legacy. Now all of that could crumble in a single headline. And today would be the beginnings. Across town, Alexis Davis sat at her desk, staring at the official letter in front of her. Congresswoman Alexis Davis. It still felt surreal. Laura had approached her personally, saying she wanted to recommend her to fill Willow Cain's vacant congressional seat. At first, Alexis had laughed it off. Politics, again, after everything she'd survived, disbarment, prison, scandal, it felt impossible. But Laura had insisted. "You're exactly who this city needs," Laura had said. And Alexis had finally believed it. For the first time in years, she felt purpose blooming again. She imagined doing real good, reform, justice, representation, maybe even redemption. She had even started drafting potential policy ideas. Which was why she had no idea that the rug was about to be ripped out from under her. At the Metro Court, Willow Cain sat quietly at a corner table, unaware that her name was being whispered in rooms she hadn't stepped into yet. Willow had been trying to keep her world stable. Between family tensions and Drew's absence, she had focused on maintaining peace, stability, normalcy. Politics wasn't on her radar. But it was very much on Sidwell's. Inside a private office, Sidwell leaned back in his chair, swirling a glass of scotch. He admired chaos when it unfolded neatly, strategically. Laura had been resistant at first, predictably moral, predictably stubborn. But everyone had pressure points. And hers had been too easy to exploit. He had no intention of letting Alexis take Drew's seat. Alexis was unpredictable. She had integrity buried beneath her messiness. She asked questions. Willow, on the other hand, was more malleable, publicly sympathetic, easy to shape. He smiled thinly. The press conference was set for the afternoon. And Laura would say exactly what he told her to say. When Laura received Sidwell's call that morning, she knew it wasn't a request. "Have you made your decision?" Sidwell asked calmly. "I already told you who I intend to recommend," Laura replied, trying to sound firm. "That's unfortunate," Sidwell answered, "because that would be a mistake." Silence stretched between them. "You will announce Willow Cain," he continued, "today at the press conference." Laura's jaw tightened. "You don't get to dictate my appointments." "I do," his tone darkened. "Shall I send the photos to the press first, or would you prefer they go to your children?" Her breath caught. He always went for family. "You're disgusting," she whispered. "And you're cornered," Sidwell replied smoothly. "Press conference today, recommend Willow, or watch your world burn." The line went dead. Laura collapsed into her chair. This wasn't just political manipulation, this was coercion, blackmail, destruction. But if the photos came out, it wouldn't just be her career destroyed, it would be scandal, criminal charges, public disgrace. Her children would suffer. Her grandchildren would suffer. Port Charles would lose faith in her. And Sidwell knew it. By afternoon, the press room buzzed with anticipation. Reporters filled every seat, cameras flashed, whispers circulated. Was it Alexis? The betting odds certainly said so. Alexis herself stood near the back, composed but hopeful. She had come to witness the official announcement. Laura stepped to the podium. Her hands felt numb. Her heart pounded so loudly she was certain the microphones would pick it up. She glanced briefly into the crowd. And then she saw him. Sidwell stood at the back, arms crossed, watching her with that smug, patient smile. The leash tightened. Laura cleared her throat. As you all know, the vacancy left by Congressman Drew Cain has left an important role unfilled. Alexis inhaled slowly. Laura hesitated. For a split second, rebellion flared inside her. She could say Alexis' name, she could defy him, she could expose everything. But then she imagined the headlines. Mayor caught with dead body. Her family destroyed. Her legacy shattered. She swallowed. After careful consideration, she continued, voice steady but hollow, I have decided to recommend Willow Cain to complete Drew's term in Congress. The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, shock. Alexis' face drained of color. Sidwell smiled. And Willow froze in disbelief. Alexis couldn't hear the rest of Laura's speech. The words blurred into meaningless sound. Willow Cain's. That had to be a mistake. Alexis had spoken with Laura just days ago. They had discussed strategy, policy, plans. She had allowed herself to hope. Now that hope shattered in real time. Willow looked equally stunned. She hadn't campaigned, she hadn't lobbied, she hadn't even expressed interest publicly. But the cameras were already turning toward her. Mrs. Cain, how do you feel about the nomination? A reporter shouted. I'm honored, Willow stammered, still processing. Laura stepped back from the podium, her face pale but composed. Sidwell clapped slowly from the back. Alexis' eyes found Laura's instantly. Confusion, hurt, betrayal. Laura couldn't hold her gaze. Later that evening, Alexis stormed into Laura's office. The door shut with more force than usual. What happened? Alexis demanded. Laura stood behind her desk, exhausted beyond words. I thought we had an understanding. We did, Laura replied quietly. Then why did you say Willow's name? Laura hesitated. She had rehearsed lies, simple ones, political pivots, changed minds, public optics. But Alexis wasn't a stranger, she was a friend. And she deserved something close to truth. It's complicated, Laura said carefully. Complicated? Alexis laughed bitterly. You asked me to prepare, you told me I was ready, I started planning my life around this. I know. Then what changed? Laura walked around the desk, lowering her voice. There are factors you're not aware of. Then make me aware. Laura's eyes filled with something Alexis rarely saw, fear. I can't. Alexis' anger softened into concern. Laura, what is going on? Laura swallowed hard. This isn't about qualifications, it isn't about you, it's about keeping people safe. Safe from what? I can't say. Alexis stared at her, mind racing. Blackmailed? Threats? Something darker? You're being pressured, Alexis realized quietly. Laura didn't answer. But the silence was confirmation. Who? Alexis pressed. I need you to trust me. That's not an answer. Laura's composure cracked slightly. If I don't handle this carefully, people I love could get hurt. The weight of that statement silenced the room. Alexis exhaled slowly. So this is bigger than politics? Yes. And you're protecting someone's? Yes. Alexis stepped back, absorbing the truth. She was angry, devastated, humiliated. But she also understood sacrifice. I wish you trusted me sooner, Alexis said softly. Laura nodded, guilt crushing her chest. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, Sidwell watched the evening news with satisfaction. Willow Cain, Port Charles' new political hope. Exactly as planned. Laura had bent. Alexis was sidelined. And Willow, whether she knew it or not, was now a piece on his board. He raised his glass. To control, he murmured. But he underestimated one thing. Laura Collins had survived far worse men than him. And while she had bowed today, she was already planning tomorrow. Because Laura would not remain cornered forever. She would find the leverage. She would uncover his weakness. And when she did, Jenz Sidwell would learn that blackmailing the mayor of Port Charles was the biggest mistake of his life. Until then, the city would buzz with speculation. Alexis would wrestle with betrayal. Willow would step into a spotlight she never expected. And Sidwell would believe he had won. But in Port Charles, victories never last long. Especially when secrets are involved.